Welcome to Growing Points. I'm your host, Chris Menke. This week, we begin with a topic that can go untalked about quite often: how to properly and safely store baled hay. Over the past month, a number of Iowa farmers have suffered hay combustion fires within their barns due to high temperatures and high moisture. You may be asking, how can moist hay catch fire? Here's how. When bales are stored with too much moisture in them, organisms begin to feed and multiply, generating heat. Hay should be baled at a moisture concentration of 20% or less. Make sure you know how well cured the hay is before putting it in the barn. And then, once in the barn, periodic measuring of the temperature is a must. Anything above 140 degrees is dangerous. At 160 degrees and higher, you can have smoldering and combustion. As temperatures reach different levels, there are different concerns as far as what might be happening in the middle of the stack of hay that you can't see. Because it could be heating up very slowly and not getting enough oxygen to burn. But if a hay bale is removed and oxygen is allowed in, the whole stack could ignite instantly. New hay should be checked twice a day for 6 weeks, because fresh baled hay carries the most risk of spontaneous combustion. It's always a good practice to store hay in separate buildings from livestock. If there's a fire, your animals will be safe. For all you dairy farmers out there, as well as milk, cheese, and ice cream lovers, you'll be happy to know that milk production in the U.S. in July totaled 17.5 billion pounds, up 3.9% from July of 2013. This is the largest year-over-year increase of 2014. Dairy herd in total added 37,000 head, and production per cow increased 64 pounds to average 1,882 pounds per head. The U.S. dairy herd grew by 5,000 just since June. Milk production in the 23 major dairy states was up 4% to 16.4 billion pounds, also the largest increase of the year. Production per cow in these states increased 61% from a year ago to 1,911, the highest for July since the report series began in 2003. There were 8.58 million dairy cows in the 23 states, an increase of 56,000 from last July and 6,000 more than in June. 20 of the 23 major dairy states had an increase, while Minnesota, New Mexico, and Oregon had slight decreases. Despite the drought in California, milk production continues to increase over year-ago levels. The Golden State produced 3.5 billion pounds of milk in July, up 4.4% from July of 2013. The California dairy herd actually declined 2,000 head to 1.78 million, but production per cow jumped 85 pounds to 1,980. Wisconsin milk production was just under 2.4 billion pounds in July, up 3.4% from July of last year. The Badger State dairy herd also declined by 2,000 to 1.27 million head, but production per cow increased 65 pounds to 1,885. The third week of August is always watched closely, as an army of crop scouts journey across the Midwest to sample the size of the corn and soybean crops. Daily news articles, field reports, photos, and tweets from the Pro Farm Midwest Crop Tour cause a flood of information for farmers and markets to digest. Yesterday marked the third day of the tour. Day 1 findings showed an average corn yield of 182 bushels per acre in Ohio, and an average soybean pod count of 1,342 in a 3x3 foot square. South Dakota samples resulted in an average corn yield of 152 bushels per acre and an average soybean pod count of 1,057 in a 3x3 foot square. The second day of the Pro Farmer Midwest Crop Tour revealed a corn yield in Indiana of 185 bushels per acre, and soybean pod counts in a 3x3 foot square totaled 1,220. Nebraska samples showed a corn yield of 163 bushels per acre and soybean pod counts in the 3x3 foot square of 1,103. Results of yesterday's tour through Iowa will be out later today, where models showed a projection of 10 to 30 bushels per acre better than last year due to the state's prime growing conditions and strong yield potential. For more information on the crop tour as it happens, go to Twitter and search hashtag PFTour14. Thanks for watching this edition of Growing Points. To stay up to date on all our episodes and other videos, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking below.